A student recently said to me, I get triggered by the stupidest things. And I had to smile, not because it's funny, but because I know that feeling so well. We've all had those moments where something small, maybe a comment, a tone, or even a glance, hit us in a way that doesn't seem to make sense. You think that it shouldn't bother you that much, but your body reacts before your mind even has a chance to catch up. Maybe your chest tightens, maybe you snap or shut down or feel tears welling up out of nowhere. And then almost immediately the self-judgment starts. Why am I like this? What's wrong with me? It was such a small thing. So, if you've ever wondered why you get triggered by things that seem irrational, or why your emotions sometimes feel bigger than the situation warrants, this episode is for you. Because those moments, the ones that we often judge as stupid or as overreactions, actually carry deep wisdom when we know how to listen. Welcome to Somatic Healing Meditations, the podcast that helps you regulate your nervous system, deepen your healing journey, and feel better in your body. I'm Karenna with Hello Inner Light, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm a somatic healing coach who specializes in compassionate, body-centered processing that helps you heal the wounds that are holding you back. So if that's the kind of content you need more of in your life, please subscribe to this podcast and join me every Friday on this beautiful journey out of your head and into your more embodied and authentic self. And today's episode is a little different. It's the first in a brand new series called Your Healing, Your Questions. In this series, I'm answering your real questions about somatic healing, how to apply it to your life, your relationships, your patterns, and your healing process. These Your Healing, Your Questions episodes are a blend of education and gentle guidance to help you understand what's happening beneath the surface of your experiences and how to work with your body and subconscious for deeper healing. So let's begin with this very relatable question. Why do I get triggered by the stupidest things? And I just want to begin by saying, we've all been there. You're not crazy and you're definitely not broken. What feels irrational on the surface often makes perfect sense once we understand what's really happening inside. When we say we're triggered by quote unquote stupid things, what we really mean is that our conscious mind can't find a logical reason for how big our emotional response feels. But your body isn't responding to logic. It's responding to memory, to emotion, to meaning. It's responding to something deeper that's been stirred within, maybe an old hurt, a place that didn't get to fully heal, or a need that went unmet long ago. And that's what makes triggers so fascinating and actually so wise. Because when we know how to listen, when we learn to tune into the sensations and the emotions and the stories that live in our body, our triggers can become some of our greatest teachers. They can point us toward the parts of ourselves that are asking to be seen and loved. And in that way, they aren't random, nor are they signs that something is wrong with us. They're invitations. They're actually our inner world saying, there's something here that's ready to heal. So today, let's slow down together and look more closely at what's really happening when we get triggered by the stupidest things. And let's see how these moments, if we meet them gently, can lead us directly into deeper healing. So when we find ourselves getting triggered by small things, there are two likely explanations. The first is that our system is simply overloaded. We're dysregulated. Often it's not that the moment itself is particularly big, it's that we're already full. Our systems are carrying so much accumulated stress, stimulation, and emotion that even the smallest thing can make everything overflow. It's like our inner cup is right up to the brim, and one more drop is all it takes to spill over. You see, when your nervous system is overwhelmed or dysregulated, your body starts living in a kind of low-level survival mode. You might not even realize it because you've likely been pushing through, coping, and staying quote-unquote functional. But under the surface, your system is tense, alert, and always scanning for threat. And when you're already in that state, even the smallest thing can tip you into reactivity. So, this first layer of healing is about learning to bring your nervous system back into balance and to help your body remember what safety feels like. And I call this the autonomic layer of healing because it's the level where we're working directly with the nervous system itself through breath, touch, movement, and gentle awareness practices that soothe the body's survival responses. And when I say autonomic, I'm referring to the autonomic branch of the nervous system. You can think of it as the automatic branch of the nervous system, and you've probably heard people talk about fight, flight, or freeze, or maybe about polyvagal theory, or sympathetic and parasympathetic states, and all of those fall under the umbrella of the autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic layer of healing means supporting that automatic part of your nervous system, the one in charge of your stress and trauma responses, in coming back into balance. When we regulate our nervous system, we're restoring safety to the body at the most fundamental level, which is extremely balancing and supportive to this autonomic layer. And when the body feels safe, our feelings and reactions naturally follow. We gain more space between what happens and how we respond. We can pause, we can choose, and we can actually tap into our more aligned and thoughtful self. So, if this feels like where you are, if you often feel overstimulated, anxious, or easily set off, this is the place to begin. Start with gentle, consistent regulation practices that help your body feel anchored again. And you'll find so many effective and gentle regulation exercises right here on Somatic Healing Meditations. Two that I especially recommend are episode 97, Feel Safe in Your Body Again, and episode 67, Daily Nervous System Reset. I'll link both of them in the show notes so you can explore them after this episode. So again, healing on the autonomic layer helps you come home to yourself. It builds the foundation of safety that makes all the deeper healing possible. Because when your body feels safe enough to soften, your emotions finally have space to unfold. And that's where the next layer of healing begins. So, the second explanation for why we get triggered by things we might consciously find stupid is that our reaction has less to do with the present moment and more to do with what this moment represents or reminds us of. Our bodies are remembering something deeper, an old wound, a memory, or a feeling that never fully had the chance to be seen or resolved. And this is what I call the autobiographical layer of healing. It's the realm of our deeper emotional history, the places within us that hold our unprocessed stories, our early imprints, and the tender parts that learned how to survive in a world that sometimes felt extremely overwhelming. So our triggers are messengers from these deeper parts of us, parts that are asking to be seen, heard, and loved. Inside each trigger is a story that hasn't yet been fully witnessed. Maybe it's the child part that felt dismissed or invisible. Maybe it's the teenager who learned that anger wasn't safe. Or maybe it's a tender part that's been carrying grief, shame, or fear for years. And these parts don't want to stay hidden forever. They want to be seen, heard, and cared for. And the truth is, when we do witness them in that way, we realize that along with the old pain, these parts also carry wisdom and vitality and truth that belong to us. When we pause and get curious about what a trigger is trying to tell us, it can guide us straight to the roots of what's ready to be healed. So, our triggers actually hold wisdom, and they can become some of our greatest guides in the path to wholeness if we know how to listen. Beneath every reaction is a longing for understanding, for connection, or for the safety that allows us to soften. And when we meet these reactions with compassion instead of judgment, they start to reveal what we most need to know about ourselves. Each trigger in its own way is an invitation, a doorway back to the places within us that are ready to be met with love. And this understanding that our triggers hold messages and wisdom is at the core of the work I'll be guiding you through in my free live training, The Secret Wisdom of Your Triggers, which is happening tomorrow. It's a gentle space to slow down and listen together, to learn how to decode what your triggers are really saying, and to begin transforming them into pathways toward deeper safety, wholeness, and compassionate self-understanding. So when we're feeling triggered, both the autonomic and autobiographical layers of healing are essential parts of our journey. They work together like two intertwined threads, one supporting our nervous system, the other tending to the deeper stories that live within us, and both deeply grounded in compassionate witnessing and listening to the body. When we regulate at the autonomic level, we help the nervous system return to safety. We teach the body that it's okay to exhale and to soften and to heal. And this creates the foundation that makes deeper healing possible. Without that felt sense of safety, it's almost impossible to connect with the more vulnerable layers underneath. And when we move into the autobiographical layer, we begin to meet the parts of us that have been holding our pain, our memories, and our protection for years. We learn to listen to them instead of fighting them, and we hold them with compassion instead of shame. And in doing so, something remarkable happens. Those parts begin to transform. And this is the unique paradigm of healing that I teach throughout my work. We're not trying to silence the mind or force the body to relax. We're learning to listen. We're learning to drop the judgments like, this is stupid, or I shouldn't feel this way. And instead, meet what's here with gentleness and understanding. And when we approach ourselves this way, even our triggers become doorways. The very things we once saw as obstacles start to lead us toward wholeness. And this is what my meditations, courses, programs, and this podcast are designed to support: the full arc of healing, both autonomic and autobiographical. The nervous system regulation that helps your body feel safe, and the deep emotional processing that helps your inner world feel seen. And together, these layers create lasting change and an ongoing homecoming with your authentic self. So as you move through your own journey, remember this: the parts of you that feel reactive or irrational aren't trying to sabotage you. They're calling for your care. And when you learn to listen with compassion in a body-centered way, the result is integrated healing and natural transformation at deep levels. If this way of healing speaks to you, this integration of body, heart, and psyche, then please join me for the Secret Wisdom of Your Triggers, my free training that's happening tomorrow. We'll slow down together and explore how to work with your nervous system and subconscious so that your triggers become guides instead of obstacles. And if you feel ready to go even deeper, I'll soon be opening applications for Rooted and Resilient, my 6-month VIP coaching program that I only offer once a year. It's a small, intimate experience where I walk alongside you, helping you heal on both the autonomic and autobiographical levels in a compassionate and effective way. And wherever you are in your process, I hope that you remember that nothing inside of you is stupid. Every reaction, every emotion, and every tightening in your body is simply trying to lead you home to yourself. And healing begins the moment you start listening. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'd love to hear from you. What from this episode resonated with you the most? Do you feel more drawn to the autonomic layer of healing right now, or the autobiographical one? Also, this is the very first Your Healing, Your Questions episode of Somatic Healing Meditations, my new series where I answer your real questions about somatic healing and how to apply it to your life. So, what do you think? Do you like the new format? I'll still be bringing you weekly meditations, and I'll just be dropping in sporadically with these educational mini episodes. Also, you can submit your questions anytime at helloinnerlight.com/questions. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much to me if you'd subscribe to the podcast and also rate and review it. You could also send it to a friend who might enjoy it. And don't forget to join me every Friday for this beautiful journey out of your head and into your more embodied and authentic self.